Americans have elected the dissenter-in-chief, Donald Trump, and he will be taking office today. We will be offering here at our radio station, the radio station for the man and the woman who matters, live coverage starting at noon. At noon today, the inaugural festivities of Donald Trump and his accession, his rising to the office, the chief office in the land, which has been made for some decades now, the chief executive, the executive officer. We live in an era of not national government is bad enough, but we live in an era of central executive government in an administrative state. The executive chief oversees a vast administrative system through which the will of the Congress is supposedly executed by him. He is the executor, right? He executes all the laws passed. He oversees all the administrative regulatory agencies, of which there are simply dozens and dozens. Some of them dealing with surveillance, some of them dealing with national security, military supervision, if you will, of marketplaces, of health, food, welfare, housing, education, and the like. And for each of those bureaus, he has named someone of like mind, someone sympathetic, such as Mrs. DeVos in the educational sector. She was harangued yesterday by a senator and answered very well. The senator seeming to make the point that she really didn't know what she was doing, and she really hasn't supervised a $1 billion budget, which is the height now, the high level that department apparently has reached with its oversight of student debt. That is the chief chattel keeper among the young people of our day. That's the Department of Education, effectively the owner of the futures of hundreds of thousands of borrowers. Now, they're called debtors, who have their student days all now in the past, and as they work in carpentry, light construction, food services, hotel services, and the like, paying down their $20,000, $30,000, $1,000 debts to that particular department and its middlemen in the loan field. Right? So Donald Trump, dissenter in chief, names like-minded, aggressive people in his cabinet who oversee these executive agencies, impose the will of the Congress upon the people, all of whom are brought in as suppliants, and administrators who reflect his tough view of the world, his tough view about Muslims, his tough view about immigrants here without the proper papers, and his eagerness to cut. He is a man who, we are told in the Hill.com, for example, reporting on his prospects, that he will be pushing dramatic cuts, is the headline, in what is called a skinny budget. Major reductions of roughly $1 trillion a year. The national debt under President Obama has soared. He has doubled the national debt, roughly. He raised it with consumption, right? Government does not invest. The government never invests. It only consumes. It consumes. It does not create value. It consumes value for an ostensible public or corporate profit benefit. And President Obama raised the national debt $9.355 trillion. President Bush added in his couple of terms $4.889 trillion to the debt. Under Obama, every person in the United States has, we are told, as reported by CNSnews.com, we have an additional $75,129 for every full-time employee in the country. Because they're earning money, right? They're not getting SSI or other chits from Washington or state government. They're in the workforce, working full-time. And the additional bill under the exiting chief executive, the $75,000. The total national debt is now $19,961,467,000,000 $137,973 by the last tick of the indicator, as caught by Terrence Jeffrey, reporter at CNS News. So altogether, every full-time employee, if that's you, my listener, know that the Leviathan, the monolith, the monolith in Washington has created an obligation for you if you are a taxpayer. Okay, now, there are millions of people who are not taxpayers because they know better, or because they arrange with their accountants to not have to pay anything, even though they are registered legally as taxpayers. The average full-time worker in this country, assuming he pays taxes and is a taxpayer, owes the bondholders, those foreign entities, foreign governments, investors, and grannies who buy treasury bills. He owes $160,658 on that debt. Now, I mentioned that figure not so that you'll think that, well, that's all. Boy, I'm glad that's it. I'm glad it's not more. There really is a much higher debt than that, but it's not legal debt. It's not paper debt in the bond market. It is these are debts in the way of obligations and promises made to governments, bond debt guarantees of the Tel Aviv government, debt guarantees of farm corporations, massive combines that go into debt with the government guaranteeing the red ink. Probably it could pass 100 or 200 trillion dollars in obligations. These, of course, are not legal debts. They are just simply promises to pay and commitments made in good faith by uncles, administrators, and lower executives. One of them being now Donald Trump as he takes office. I'd say it's a day of great excitement. I don't mention these figures to dampen the mood. The protesters in Washington are going to be in the hundreds of thousands. There'll be hundreds of thousands of protesters. The biggest crowd will be, by the tallies of predictive journalism, the biggest number will be on Saturday, tomorrow. There are 400 bus permits in Washington town today, and 1,200 bus permits tomorrow for the Women's March. And the Women's March largely will be, I'm not exactly sure the nature of that, but surely there will be many people who view Donald Trump as a sexist and misogynist and an abuser and a sexual dilettante who never learns his lesson and keeps having to try to get it right, as they claim. And so he is obviously against women. He's against immigrants. He's against blacks. He's against lug butts. All the standard enemies of Republicans they're claiming victimhood tomorrow at the Women's March. So they are gaggles and gaggles, as I say, tens of thousands of people. Several hundred from Chattanooga are going to take part today. They're already there. They've gotten up early. They've had their bagels and made their phone calls, charged their phones, and gotten their purses in order. And they are out today, joining in the festivities, opposing the accession, the rise, the ascent of Donald Trump, his swearing in on an old Bible, and the many festivities, all grand and exciting. Even if you're not for him, you can't avoid the stirring feeling of the nation, the nationhood, a unique and wonderful, marvelous state of being a state of mind. In fact, the United States of America is evoked probably most poignantly at inauguration times. It was the same 8 years ago when President Obama took office, and even though I am not one for President Obama and his statist progressive agenda to centralize the economy further, to diminish liberties, to bring about harassment against married people and marriage itself, even though I was aware of all those things, and I watched from my distant nook here in Chattanooga, and could not help but feel the stirring of the massed people, the organized rows, the stirring speeches, the the top there in front of the White House of the platform, and all the dignitaries, all taking part in something which is meant to have you, my listener here at the David Tulis Show, identify with the nation. And that serves an important purpose. It serves a unifying purpose for all people. Even the people who are there to protest they share in the premise of those who are there to support Donald Trump, to celebrate his election victory, to celebrate his representational role. All alike have some in their hearts, some acknowledgement, I would like to suggest, of the greatness of the day. We have and here are the things that they share. The idea of the transfer of power, right? It's peaceful. And it comes about from the will of the people who named this man as opposed to the other man to the office. The fact that this particular person is in the office, it reflects the will of the people, right? They had two choices, and they chose this one, and so we all identify, not maybe necessarily with the man himself, with Donald Trump, but with the office and the symbolism behind the office, the symbolism surrounding the office. Right, in Washington today, it's not just the day is not just something in front of you; it's all around you. It is a wonderful and transforming experience for all the people who go there. Those from Chattanooga, many of them are upset and angry and so on. They too take part in it because, in fact, their objection, the fact that they are there to object and protest this politician, is a sign that they are free. They have First Amendment rights, and they can make their wishes known. All these things that are indeed part of a free society where you can protest and you're not necessarily put behind bars, right? You may be if you violate the kind of continuing curfew brought about by thousands and thousands of police and Homeland Security apparatchiks and the like. Well, this is David Tulis, and we are here to mark an important day, and a day in which the dissenter-in-chief takes office and promises to make major cuts. And the question, though, that I want you, my listener, to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, not in the front. Okay, the things that we often discuss here on the David Tulis program, we can put aside today. But I want these questions not to entirely disappear from view, because I don't want the excitement of having a conservative and a free marketer. I don't want that excitement, that thrill of seeing the prospect of real change overwhelm your caution. Okay, your sense of caution that I encourage you to have. I encourage you to have this sense of caution because I, David Tulis, am the slow man of Chattanooga. I am the slow man of Chattanooga, and I'm slow because I just don't get it. I just don't get how things work often, and so I asked the dumb question. And I hope that you find that to be to your advantage here at our radio station, the station for the man who matters, and the show for the man who matters. And why the man who matters? Well, let me tell you why. I mean, you there's a woman sitting next to you listening to this broadcast on YouTube and on Facebook, and she's saying, why does he have a show just for men? Well, here's why. We have become emasculated. We have enough women with testosterone about, not just because of feminism, but because of the loss of masculinity. And so my thinking is that if I'm going to be of any use to the country, or of any use to Chattanooga or Southeast Tennessee, we really have to get the men involved. We really have to get men to stand up. That starts with saying, I need to know what's going on. I need to be informed. I need to actually start a reading program. I need to read books. For example, I'm holding in my hand a very slim little volume, as you can see on Facebook at Nooga Radio and on YouTube. A very slim volume, The Law by Frédéric Bastiat. It's a book that every man should read. Every man should read this book. He should have his copy in the door slip in his car. In case he has a down moment, he can just pick it up and peruse the remarkable, lucid prose of this French free marketer, a classical liberal Bastiat was, as I am. And so the men in Chattanooga and Helena County, they need to be men. And we have enough women who are men. And, I'm just kind of tired of that. I'm a little weary of it. Though when I meet a man-woman, I'm always very gracious. And I'm very glad that woman is in charge of her nonprofit organization or her ministry or what have you. I'm very glad that she's there. But men, I think, have kind of lost their way. And the remedy is not political. The remedy, in the end, I think, is a question of religion. It's a question of who's your God and what are you doing to serve him. The God of modern men is consumption and pleasure and passivity. It is abnegation, right? It is resignation. We have resigned from our role as men, as heads of household, as male human beings who sire children with our female human beings as our mates and rear families, right? We've kind of lost sight of that. And men don't have children anymore. Men don't marry anymore. Men don't make commitments anymore. They don't like rings. And they're content. Almost to a man, all of us, we are content to be employees, which is to say, we are content to be servants. And I'm thinking, if we can just get one or two men in Chattanooga to become masculine and manly, to start their own businesses, to make love to their wives passionately, in some near evening of luxurious relaxation, and have children, well, we're going to be better off. We'll meet our population goals, right? We'll meet Mayor Burke's desire to double the population of the city, and prosper ourselves. If men will be men, we will be stronger. I'll let the women tend to themselves. Okay, let them deal with their own sex. But here I try to deal with the guy listener because he's all wrapped up in sports, right? He thinks that if he knows all the scores and knows the players and knows who's ahead on a particular team, that he's ahead of you. He feels good about himself, feels good about the world. And meanwhile, he's got debts he can't pay. He's got limited prospects, and he's not thinking in terms of the future, and he's not thinking in terms of his liberties and reducing his liabilities. So that's why I'm here. And I think Donald Trump would probably approve of that agenda. If you ask me, I think you'd probably say, well, you're probably right, David, that we need to have the men to stand up for what they believe and to do things as they see them as right. And Donald Trump has been that very thing. He's always done what he sees as right, often by instinct, making judgment calls, he's trusting his gut. He's studied human nature and has many, many strengths. And so that's why and that he would not follow convention. That's why you, my listener, voted for Trump. And I didn't vote for Trump, but I would never say that anyone who did is wrong. I would never say that it's a sin. I think that someone who votes for Mrs. Clinton sinned in that and has to ask God for repentance of it. And that is because she, just take one point about her platform, that she sanctions, condones, appreciates, favors, would subsidize, and protect. Yeah, that's right. Protect the killing of black baby children. Mrs. Clinton appreciates, accepts, condones, favors, likes, supports, endorses, applauds the death of black baby children by very fine physicians called abortionists, whom at the Times Free Press, his title would be euphemized to abortion doctor or abortion provider. And so a vote for Mrs. Clinton, I would say, is a vote for death of one black baby child. But probably more than just one, probably tens of thousands every year. Even though the so-called abortion rate has declined, according to the Alan Guttmacher Institute, she would have it increase if it served the rights of women. And so on that point alone, she deserves nothing but scorn, nothing but contempt. And a man who votes for Mrs. Clinton is simply deluded, and God perhaps forgives him for being an ignorant fool. But anyone who consciously knowing those things, voting for Mrs. Clinton, I would say must ask God to forgive him, because to support someone like that, even though Pam Sohn at the Chattanooga Times Free Press left-hand page says she's a woman of heart and should be voted for, she is not. She is and has been an incarnation of insider politics and corruption and evil in the highest offices of the land as state secretary and and in her role as senator, and then before that, as the cuckolded wife of the federal president, who could not keep his pants up in the presence of interns wearing, or maybe not wearing, blue dresses. This is David Tulis, and we're going to look at the prospects for local economy and the free market. I do thank you for giving me just a minute of your time. I know you're busy. But listen, you can stream us on your smartphone through the TuneIn Radio app. It's a great little app, no charge. Just download it. Put Nooga Radio, Hot News Talk Radio, there at the top is your selection. And just tap the button. I'm on at 9 every day. I'm grateful to you for your few minutes of time live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And we're going to see what the prospect is for local economy and free markets under the great dissenter, Donald Trump.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson, Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. It happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing, mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Is your career careening, maybe sagging, wheezing? Let me suggest a job with huge income potential. Dealing with people. Call Steve or Jada for a confidential interview. 855-8484. 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you make all year.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. One of the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office's top 12 most wanted is now in custody. Troy Lee McCauley was wanted for many charges, including criminal exposure to HIV, solicitation of a minor, and domestic assault. Numerous tips from the community led to the arrest of Mr. McCauley. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office wanted to extend its appreciation to the citizens of Hamilton County for helping in his arrest. There were several robberies in East Ridge and Chattanooga in the last few days. One of the most significant cases was a case which the police believe involves Ebony Faye Cousin, who they say approached a Dollar General clerk in East Ridge on Ringgold Road with a pink handgun, demanding the contents of the cash register. She then sped off in a car, a dark blue or black sedan. East Ridge police were then informed that the CPD had actually arrested several suspects for several robberies, and Ms. Cousin was one of them. She was picked out of a lineup by the Dollar General clerk. And the Hamilton County School Board will not be funding a proposed track at Central High School. This decision was made on Thursday.
Expect cloudy skies with scattered showers out there for your Thursday. Highs back into the lower 60s. Tonight, rain and thunderstorms will march through, diminishing late, lows near 55. For Friday, a drier day. Warm highs of around 70 with more unsettled weather returning for the weekend. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Listen to live coverage of the Trump inauguration starting at noon today here on the most listened to radio station in Chattanooga, the station for the man who matters, for the person who matters. Today, we are my show. I'm broadening my audience. I'm allowing women to attend because it is a day of national import, and that is the accession to office, the rise to office of the dissenter-in-chief, Donald Trump, the man who is outside of the normal channels, the man not approved by the elites, not approved by the CFR, trilateralist, deep state types who want to maintain their adventures overseas, their adventures in the realms of monetary science. These are all really misadventures, right? And their control over the spigot of wealth that they have been priming and maintaining for decades, even under the government of other outsiders such as Jimmy Carter, who was sort of an outsider from a benighted outsider who became an insider by the fact that he was cold and promoted by the people who think in many ways they have charge. But the neat thing about Donald Trump is that he because of his own strength of character and his own desire to, once he started playing the game of running for president, he couldn't stop. It was just too exciting and too wonderful. Pushed on, and caught the attention of ordinary people like you and like me all across the country, in farmlands, in old mining towns, in forgotten steel towns across Pennsylvania and New England, in farming communities where in Kansas, Nebraska, you have these little dots of trees where the farmer and his wife and his daughter and the son-in-law and their children all work together in the fields. They hear Donald Trump and they hear his accusations about how the system is rigged against them. And even though that particular little hamlet there with 3 or 4 families, all related by blood and marriage, get heavy federal subsidies, they view themselves as the victims. And of course, their bit of the pie that comes to them, they view as a right, not as a subsidy, not as any favor. But they have their piece of the federal pie. And still, they heard him, and they heard that he was going to play straight, and he's in the fight, not for his own gain. He's not taking a salary. He's a man of many businesses, and no doubt his family empire will prosper during his time in office. He doesn't care. He knows that his own personal wealth is secured. He doesn't have to make a good deal. He doesn't have to worry about the details anymore, because he's got the best job he ever had, the highest job he ever had, the most noble position, and he is not. I would say he's not going to be worried about $1 million here or $1 billion there. These are all details for him now that he's taking office. At noon, the festivities begin. At noon, our coverage begins here at the station for the Man Who Matters. And I'm David Tulis, and I thank you for giving me just a couple of minutes of your time. We're watching the newscast here. Fox News is having things live. We're seeing people coming and going. Donald Trump and his wife just left the St. John's Church, and they are heading for further exciting meetings and greetings and events today toward lunch. I hope he had a good breakfast. I'm sure he's having kind of sketchy eatings today. But we are glad to raise the question, and that is how can we have a show, as we have every day, about local economy and the free market, the focus of the website of our chief sponsor, Nooganomics.com, which focuses on local economy and the free market. How can we cover that today when everything is about the nation? Everything is about the great events of the day. Well, we can, because as we've analyzed our prospects here in the southeast part of Tennessee, our prospects have long dimmed on account of hegemony in Washington. Hegemony, of course, is just the academic word for control, authority, or consolidation of. That would be the federal district and the government, the former agent that has become the master in the federal district, in that square district carved out between Virginia and Maryland. And there we have this government that has become the master, as I would like to suggest to you just briefly here in a historic footnote, arranged by the centralizers, the Federalists, Alexander Hamilton, chief among them. Our county, by the way, just named after Alexander Hamilton, the great, tremendous intellect who devised the wonderful form of government that we have, which is inherently consolidating and inherently unitary. In other words, it's designed to separate powers, to divide powers, to keep itself weak within limits of the law. But the experiment in constitutional government, we know now, has failed. And so only in the outward forms do we have a federal government. We would love there to be a federal government. We really would. And we would be richer for it if there could be one that restrained itself and had not given itself over to executive government served by the fourth estate, which is the administrative realm. By administrative law, the national government has extinguished the prospects of the future for the country and the 250-some million people who reside in its 50 states and who all are said to be U.S. persons by hook or crook. They are U.S. persons and subject to Congress and its laws. There is in today's event, the inauguration, a unity of country. That is a theme that we want to not overlook. I want to mention, of course, what we have in the way of other news. We have today the national debt stands at $19.961 trillion. That's $19,961,467,137,973 by the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which in that domain also points out that there are 124.24 million full-time employees in the country, and if you divide that number into the debt, each one is expected to pay at some point, or his descendants, his great-great-great-grandchildren possibly, not only their $30,000 of student debt, but the $160,000 that is said to be per worker, the per worker bill of the national extravagance of welfare regulation and corporatism and cartelism. There are 900,000 people expected in Washington, almost 1 million people expected to be in Washington today. Of course, they're already there. There are protests coming, Disrupt J20, and the D.C. Anti-Fascist Coalition are planning to paralyze the city if they could. They've been blocked by Project Veritas's expose of some of their noisome plans, but there are nearly 30,000 so-called security personnel in Washington, miles of fencing. There are roadblocks. There are heavy vehicles that are blocking crowded areas where the crowds are gathering now. They're already there. It's a virtual fortress. It is a credit to the totalitarian security state, which Donald Trump is arriving to oversee as chief presider. You know, a president is a person who presides. He presides just as you might preside as president of a soccer club for your teenage sons. Your two sons are part of a soccer club, and you're president. You preside over it. You are presiding, and so he's the chief presider, the man who sits at the top. And there are dump trucks, street barricades, vehicles loaded with sand, and in a 3 square mile cordon around the central Washington, there are thousands of protesters. A major march tomorrow, a women's march, and pot smokers are going to be passing out 4,200 joints. It's a very small minority of people who will be getting marijuana joints, and the argument is light up, send the fumes wafting across the noses of others and thousands of others in the sunlight over the event. And it's not legal in Washington State to consume it in public, though it's legal to own in small amounts. Professor Chosudovsky publishes an important website that looks at the kind of alternative analysis of the national system, and I'm not finding it right now, but he points out that in a piece picked up by LouRockwell.com this morning, he points out that the national protest movement, focusing itself now in what it hopes to be a color revolution, is not innocent, is not grassroots, but has connections with OTPOR, which is an organization that has been in the revolution business overseas since 1994. I'm talking about Professor Michael Chosudovsky, work picked up this morning at the most nationally famous free market, anti-war, anti-state website. That's LouRockwell.com. He runs globalresearch.ca out of Canada, and he is a revisionist. Okay, he is a revisionist professor, and his writers, there are staffers. There are also dozens of noted volunteer writers around the country who offer an alternative narrative. And there is these are engineered protests that they are part of an operation. OTPOR is a federal government project. Around the world, it has created protest movements, efforts to overturn other national governments. So you understand why the Russian hacking line of argument scarcely gets my notice, because if Russia did use Facebook to try to influence people to favor Trump over Mrs. Clinton, they just have a big Facebook bill at their subsidiary at the end of the month. Many tens of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars paid to Facebook to feed advertisements to selected groups of people like you, right? These are entirely innocuous forms of intervention, which is simply publishing, right? The RT publishes, and so these are harmless things. But the idea of impeachment, that's being pushed by dissenters in this country, and they're already he's not even taken office, and the critics of Donald Trump want to have him impeached for crime. What is the background of the color revolution? Professor Chossudovsky tells us a little bit about it. In August '99, the CIA set up a training program to help oust the Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic, and this nonprofit organization, and it was called OTPOR. And that group later established another group that came out of it called the Center for Applied Nonviolent Action Strategies. It is a training and strategizing outfit, and the raised fist is part of the imagery. The raised fist, and I'm showing you what that looks like here. If you're looking at our show, the David Tulis Show, on YouTube or Facebook, you can see that I'm the bow tie guy. What is bow tie saying today? I think one person in city government was asking the other day, what's bow tie saying today about our efforts? Well, the fist, you can see that I've got a fist up here, and my bow tie, I think it's passable today, though my wife Jeanette did not give it her okay. We'll admit that. This group, founded by the CIA, has its other group. Then there's a third one Chossudovsky mentions. It's called Canvas, set up by the Central Intelligence Agency as an international network of trainers and consultants involved effectively in the revolution business. Funded by Freedom House, the National Endowment for Democracy. It has private corporate donors such as the Ford Foundation. The CIA, he says, has long been known to be funneling support and interest through the Ford Foundation. In this regard, OTPOR played a key role in fomenting mass spring uprisings. The Arab Spring in Egypt in 2011, what appeared to be a spontaneous democratization process, was carefully planned intelligence operation. And so Occupy Wall Street is also identified by Chossudovsky as being part of this matrix of support for protest. Adbusters is behind that, the Tides Foundation, with many others. So there are blockades, and these are. I watched this morning a Disrupt J20 video, narrated, a couple-minute long video narrated by a robot voice, and it appeals to many interests, suggesting that Donald Trump is the establishment, suggesting that he is the machine that we are fighting. I don't think he is the machine that we are fighting, but he's overseeing the machine, perhaps, that you, my listener, are fighting. And the religious interest that I want to get to, we're going to talk in a minute about broadband in Tennessee with Chris Butler, but the religious angle is something that is not being addressed here. But let me just mention that there are hundreds and even thousands of people who are devout Christians who are in Washington, and they call themselves prayer warriors, such as Pastor Eric Majette from Virginia Beach. He says, we're actually a prayer group. We pray for leaders across our nation. A group of pastors came together to pray for our nation and our leaders, particularly the new administration. The niece of Dr. Martin Luther King, Alveda King, quoted speaking at a gathering at the Civil Rights for the Unborn, says that Christians are counting on God to bring sweeping positive changes to America. But we're not really looking for Mr. Trump or any human being to change America, Mrs. King says, but we know God can and will do it. Leon Benjamin, a pastor from Richmond, we must believe for the best, he's telling CBN News. It doesn't matter who is in the White House as long as there is faith that God has not forsaken us and that he has not left us to become of power. That would be dreadful for us as pastors and leaders to say, oh my God, we are doomed now. So we're very hopeful. The idea in part here is that it doesn't necessarily matter for the Christian who worships God and fears him, whom is in charge, whether it is a man of evil or a man who intends good, as most people believe that Trump is. Most people voted for Trump, and who voted. The majority, the biggest voting bloc is the non-voter, and that's a bloc important to consider its wishes. These are people who say, my hands are off. They don't want to take the blame for what Donald Trump will do or the things he can't stop from happening, and so they've not voted. But those who voted for him, and the Electoral College, reflecting the dynamic structure of our country's government, its effort in the law to account for rural interests and small town interests, that's the Electoral College, and that caused his win. God is in charge of the nation state, even though the nation state is, as we have analyzed it here at the David Tulis show, the nation state is a judgment. It is a judgment upon Chattanooga and upon Hamilton County. And it is a judgment in many, many ways. Just think about the nature of the law here. We don't have constitutional coin and currency. We are forbidden by a mere opinion of 9 black-robed judges that the sheriff cannot arrest and charge with murder a man who kills a baby black girl, or a baby black boy, or a baby white boy, or a baby white girl, or a baby Hispanic girl, or a baby Hispanic boy. He can't be charged with killing that person because of Roe v. Wade from 1973. And ask yourself about marriage. We still are asleep on marriage. No one seems to understand my theory about the need to marry at common law. We marry under statute in Tennessee, even though our governor, Republican Bill Haslam, says that men may marry men now. Haslam pretending that he has to obey a mere opinion from a court, which has no authority here at all. And so we are under a judgment with our lesser magistrates sharing in the guilt of redefinition, sharing in the guilt of spitting effectively in the face of the one upon whose knee we sit. We as states, we as individuals, that would be the knee of God. We are all, as human beings, creatures, and we sit on his knee, and we are slapping him in the face. We are spitting in his face as we dandle there. And God is not pleased. There is a prayer to read, if you have a moment, in 1 Kings chapter 8, the prayer of Solomon, when he ascended to the throne of the combined states of the combined tribes of Israel, as Israel had rejected confederated government and with King Saul as its first king, entered the realm of, you might say, the kingdom under unitary lordly power under Saul, then David, and then Solomon. We're going to look at that in a moment, but I have some very important messages to give to you, and I want you to think about this. Support David Tulis by supporting my advertisers. Right, I'm a commercial radio station. I live when my advertisers renew their agreements for us to advertise with us, or for them with us. So think about that. If you have want to do me a favor, tell my advertiser that you love the David Tulis show. You just love the David Tulis program every day here at 9 o'clock on YouTube, on Facebook. This is David Tulis, and these are messages to listen to.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Cash, 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 and more cash. No, but it'll get you the gold, silver, and diamonds just for her that may get you some loving.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
It's for Valentine's Day. Are you crazy? You're just getting her flowers that are going to wilt? Give her something that'll last a lifetime. Gold, silver, diamonds, jewelry. A girl's best friend are not wilting flowers. They're diamonds. So let me tell you, my friend, don't make a mistake. Rick Davis, gold and silver, with the shiniest diamonds at the best price. But you gotta get to Rick before the deals are all gone. Don't wait. Rick Davis, gold and silver. He's got your cash, 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 and more cash. And for Valentine's Day, lots of what she'll love.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Rick Davis, gold and diamonds. 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
It's Valentine's Day. A day to be happy when you have a babe.
McCune Williams and Ashley PLLC offers a full array of legal services to meet the needs of businesses and individuals. Our attorneys represent diverse backgrounds, interests, and legal emphasis, but we share one common goal: providing the highest quality legal services to our clients through the combination of our talents, experience, and expertise. In each case, we strive to tailor those services to meet each client's specific circumstances. Business law, business organization, civil litigation, commercial litigation, conservatorship and guardian law, bankruptcy law, Just to name a few, with over 188 years of combined experience, McCoon Williams Ashley PLLC is here to help you and your business succeed. MWALawFirm.com. That's MWALawFirm.com. Call 423-756-6400. That's 423-756-6400.
What? Oh no, I can't believe my phone screen is cracked. I cracked it. I can't believe my screen is cracked. I need my phone.
Whoa. Slow down, wild man. We've got an easy solution. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. That's right, your cell doctor in Ottawa, Cell Surgeon, most of the time can fix your smartphone on the spot. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. Cell Surgeon for all your cell needs. Most repairs are performed in less than an hour. TheCellSurgeon.com. Go to TheCellSurgeon.com.
Daisy, get my cell phone out of your mouth right now.
We're at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Yes, ma'am. 2 orders of nachos with beef and beans and 2 beers. Chattanooga loves its Amigos restaurants, but the Amigos in Hickson has something extra. NCAA, the week's big game. How about a house wine? Really good. Big name beers. Just tell Maria what you want. And here at Amigos, margaritas are popular. And it's only $3 a day. If you come here on a game day, Saturday, a Natty Light is only $2.25. Here at Amigos, just during NCAA, Natty Light, $2.25. Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson. The happy hour is 3 to 9 today and every day. I'd say the atmosphere is festive. Look at that huge TV. It's like being amid the fans under a bright sun, but without all the heat. Stay cool. Quench your thirst. Amigos, between the Staples and Hobby Lobby. Take the table next to mine and enjoy the great NCAA game with friend or family here at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Okay, it's starting. The NASCAR racer's ideal is quality and excellence. So is mine. Hi, David Tulis here. My pit crew is S&S Auto Repair. I've taken Toyotas and Hondas to S&S for 13 years, even though it's way out of my way. I like being treated fairly, like a neighbor. S&S specializes in Toyota and Lexus, Honda, Acura, Scion, Nissan, and Infiniti. Make an appointment today and get a free 4-inch combat knife as a gift. 855-3436. ssautorepair.net. 855-3436.
No.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touched Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee!
What's the hassle, Schmassel?
My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy-Dixie line, and no Yankees are crossing it.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things going, see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, seeing what my needs are. I've gotten business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end, and we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard, and they always seem to be
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy. CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. Welcome to the White House.
See you. How are you?
President and Mrs. Obama welcomed President-elect and Mrs. Trump to the People's House a short time ago. Mrs. Trump handed Mrs. Obama a large blue Tiffany gift box. About 30 minutes from now, all will leave for the Capitol and the inauguration of the nation's 45th president. CBS News correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
It's overcast and in the 40s here, likely to rain as Donald Trump swears to protect and defend the Constitution. 2 hours before that swearing in, the crowd runs about half the length of the National Mall, a few 100,000 people by my estimate, and quite a decent showing by historical standards, though it's not nearly the record 2 million on hand for Barack Obama's first inaugural in 2009. Many in the crowd are wearing red, those red Make America Great Again hats in particular.
Officials estimate that as many as 900,000 will witness the inauguration in person.
We're excited to see change.
Everybody's in a really good mood, good spirit, and it's feeling good.
I'm Cammie McCormick at Washington's Union Station. Dozens of protesters have gathered here in the cold, chanting, "We coming, we ready." They hope to make their way to the White House along with dozens of other groups. Security will be very high along their route, which will also be lined with supporters of Donald Trump.
Senior aide Kellyanne Conway gave CBS this morning a preview of the inaugural speech.
It's a beautiful, elegant address, personally written by Donald Trump, and I believe powerfully delivered today. You're going to hear a man of action, a man of resolve.
Senate Democratic leader Charles Schumer says only 2 cabinet nominees will be approved by the end of the day. James Mattis for Defense Secretary and John Kelly for Homeland Security.
Problems here are not our making. They were rushed through. They didn't file their ethics reports, which are very, very important and have been done by every previous administration. That's what slowed it down. They were ill-prepared.
92-year-old former President George H.W. Bush, laid up with pneumonia, hopes to watch the inauguration from his Houston hospital bed. Family spokesman Jim McGrath.
They've got him on some medicines that make him kind of sleepy, but I know he'll try to take in the festivities.
Notorious drug trafficker Joaquin Guzman is due for a federal court appearance in New York City later today, less than 24 hours after his extradition for Mexico. Guzman's trial is expected to take place in Brooklyn.
No matter where he's tried in New York or anywhere else, his trial would be one of the most riveting of the century because of the scope of his alleged crimes. It also would be terribly expensive because of the need for extra security.
CBS News senior legal analyst Andrew Cohen, if he's convicted, Guzman could not be put to death, but could receive multiple life sentences. Overseas, a boy and a woman trapped inside the Italian hotel that was buried by this week's avalanche were able to walk out under their own power. Rescue teams believe as many as 6 others may still be alive inside. In early trading, the Dow Industrials are up 98 points. This is CBS News.
Hiring is the most challenging part of my job. It's really hard. The searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 200 plus job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just 1 click away from 200 plus job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talk. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
A new study overseas is sure to fuel more debate over how best to diagnose and when to treat prostate cancer. CBS's Larry Miller has the story.
British researchers say advanced MRI screening represents the biggest leap in diagnosing prostate cancer in decades. In a trial of men with a raised PSA level, more than a quarter did not need invasive biopsies. The report's author, Hashim Ahmed.
A lot of men undergo unnecessary biopsies. Cancers are missed. We sometimes find cancers which are very low risk and don't need to be treated, but end up being treated inappropriately.
The report in The Lancet found 93% of aggressive prostate cancers were detected by MRI, twice that of random biopsies. Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
Actor Miguel Ferrer, the son of Jose Ferrer and Rosemary Clooney and George Clooney's cousin, has lost his struggle with throat cancer. The NCIS Los Angeles co-star was 61. Frank Sedapani, CBS News.
Attention investors, your IRA or 401k.
How about we change that to built
You
in
give
the
us 12
USA.
minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect cloudy skies with scattered showers out there for your Thursday. Highs back into the lower 60s. Tonight, rain and thunderstorms will march through, diminishing late, lows near 55. For Friday, a drier day. Warm highs of around 70 with more unsettled weather returning for the weekend. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Martin Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocked him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's David Tulis.
Donald Trump says he is against the insiders. He's against crony capitalism. He's against corporate capitalism, where those of privilege have the upper hand in business transactions, whereas common business people, ordinary corporations, don't have that access, don't have that easy credit and the like, and fail because they can't compete. Well, on the state level, we have a similar question about crony capitalism and government capitalism. I call that commercial government. We live in an era of commercial government where government sometimes is the biggest actor, the biggest industrialist, the biggest lender. And in Tennessee, we have a reporter, an independent journalist who is looking at this, and he's looking forward to a report coming out, a final version of a report coming out next week. Next week, we'll learn more about the final iterations of a document that Chris Butler of TennesseeWatchdog.org has reported on. And we have Chris here on the phone. Chris, you've looked at a draft report of this broadband study, a broadband study where the part of the question is, at least, taxpayer-backed government organizations, counties, city corporations get into business providing telecom services. What does the draft say, and what does my listener have to be worried about?
Well, good morning. This is something that came out of the Tennessee Advisory Commission. It was a draft study that was released just last month. The final version is supposed to come out next week. And the study, for the most part, seems to advocate the idea of municipal broadband. It's a fairly lengthy document, but if you read the study in detail, you have to have a long attention span for this, but if you read the study in detail, you will see that there is a paragraph or two spelling out how the idea of municipal broadband can be a risky venture for Tennessee taxpayers, and that's where your audience comes in, because they have a stake in this, no matter how well off people will supposedly be with the idea of broadband. It talks about how this idea has been tried in places like Memphis and Utah and Minnesota, and the taxpayers lost out big. Now, an advocate for municipal broadband will say that we use bond money. We don't use taxpayer money. We use bond money to create municipal broadband networks, sometimes to compete against private providers like an AT&T or a Comcast, or we'll bring municipal broadband to a rural area that may not have it. But what they won't tell you is that all of these bonds are backed by taxpayer money. So in the event that these municipalities cannot make good on their payments, that the taxpayers have to get dragged in. And things like that have occurred in other places in the United States. So the taxpayers of Tennessee and in your listening area need to be very mindful of this.
Well, here in Chattanooga, we have Electric Power Board, EPB. It doesn't go by the name anymore, but by just the anonymous letters. It's worth nearly $1 billion. It's worth $819.9 million in assets, according to the latest comprehensive annual financial report, and it has liabilities of $507 million for a net position of $334 million. This is a big business. Chattanooga, as an actor in commercial government, has a very large company, and that's EPB, which of course has telecom. Chris Butler.
Yeah. Well, as I've done in my reporting for Tennessee Watchdog over the past 6 or 7 years, and when a lot of this was going down with EPB, the people at EPB, including the president at the time, I believe he's departed now, but he was talking about how this was free money from the federal government. It was federal stimulus money, about $100 million that was used to help create this smart grid that they used to facilitate their broadband network. And the use of the term free money is perhaps a bit misleading. It was money that came from the taxpayers that helped to set this up. The people at EPB will brag about how well they're doing, but they need to be mindful of the fact that EPB had a very distinct advantage that a lot of these other municipal broadband networks did not. They had access to $100 million of taxpayer money.
Right. That was, I think, in 2010, and you're right. It was $111 million in federal stimulus money from the Department of Energy. That's where it came from.
Yeah,
and the taxpayer.
And they have advocated to expand their networks into rural areas that perhaps still use the old dial-up or some other antiquated method, but they don't quite have ultra high-speed internet, under the pretense that this is good for economic development, that this will allow students to have access to all, latest technology. But there's a state law. I need to backpedal here. There is a state law that forbids municipal broadband networks from expanding their services outside their municipal boundaries. So in other words, EPB advocates year after year in the state legislature for this law to be done away with, and year after year the legislator says no. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to try again at this new legislative session. So that's the extent of it. That when I talk to a lot of the people and the leaders of the rural areas about any concrete plans they have for what they do if and when they ever get municipal broadband and how they're going to use it for economic development, they tell me they don't have any, they haven't given it any thought, paid any mind to it. So I think that before, people might say that before and if municipal broadband were to come to a rural area, then perhaps some of the people in these rural territories ought to have some sort of concrete plan for what they want to do in the name of economic development.
Well, it almost sounds like you think, Chris Butler of TennesseeWatchdog.org, that there should be plans for development, and maybe I think my listener might want to rebut you by saying, well, they might want broadband services for their private businesses and homes, but economic development planning often just brings more of the same. It brings more subsidized corporations and public-private partnerships and government commitments to backing corporations if they come to a particular area to build a plant or an office.
Yeah. Well, if you've read my reporting on TennesseeWatchdog.org over the past 6 or 7 years, you will see that I have talked to many private providers, some in your listening area, who say that under no circumstances would they feel comfortable competing with a municipal broadband provider, because these municipal providers have an unlimited sum of money to draw upon to continue to stay in business to do what they do, whereas a private provider does not have that luxury. The private providers have also told me that in maybe 5 or 6 years' time, that the free market conditions will and new technologies will enable them to bring high-speed internet to rural areas. I mean, the same technology you use to get internet on your smartphone right now, people will be able to do the same thing with their laptops and their computers in 5 or 6 years' time. This is something that market conditions allow and enable, and presumably by that time, technology will be more advanced than what it is now, things perhaps we cannot conceive of. And at the time, the municipal broadband networks that have spent all this public money to try to compete with current technologies, you could say that those technologies that they have to offer will perhaps be antiquated, and they're competing with free market providers. And some people might say that a lot of that public money was all for naught, that it was wasted.
EPB here in Chattanooga has issued $41 million in new revenue bonds, according to the latest comprehensive annual financial report for city government, in addition to $218.9 million in revenue bonds to refund debt of $239 million. This is David Tulis, and we're talking with Chris Butler. Chris, real quick, you're the editor and chief reporter of an independent media outlet in Chattanooga. It's called Tennessee Watchdog, and it's at TennesseeWatchdog.org. Real quick, how is it that you're making your way as an independent writer covering news that traditionally newspapers, the Associated Press here in Tennessee, would cover? What's new about your efforts?
I may just say that TennesseeWatchdog.org is an outlet that fills the gaps. We like to think that we're asking the questions that the rest of the establishment media will not. It can be argued that the establishment media, more often than not, does not look after the taxpayer's best interest. Tennessee Watchdog is a media outlet that does look after the taxpayers. TennesseeWatchdog.org is a nonprofit. It's nonprofit journalism. That may be a concept that a lot of people are not familiar with, but we rely on the generosity and the donations of others to keep going. So if you go to TennesseeWatchdog.org and you see that we are filling the gap and asking questions that perhaps the other media does not, and there are means by which you can donate and contribute, and anything and everything is welcome. It's
and let's say also, it's since you are a 501c3, these are effectively a charity. You serve a civic and public interest, Chris Butler at Tennessee Watchdog. So it's effectively a donation that's tax deductible. So if my listener, you're running your company and you want to figure out where to give your money for a civic and public purpose, consider Tennessee Watchdog. Serving the public interest and trying to and not, it's nonpartisan, right? Is that right, Chris? You're not partisan.
That's correct. Nonpartisan.
You're not profit, and he thrives on like-minded people like you, my listener, like-minded to me, and like-minded to him to support this work. It's not a subscription. It's not a fee. It's not a tax. It's something that his donors give to him. And so I want you, my listener, to think about getting behind this free market effort in the nonprofit sector, the 501c3 sector, and that's TennesseeWatchdog.org. Chris, thanks greatly for chatting with us today.
Thank you so much. And FYI, we're also on Facebook and Twitter, so look us up there.
This is David Tulis, and Chris Butler is an independent journalist and is making his way in the free market under the umbrella, under the protection of a 501c3 charter, and he receives donations and gifts, corporate gifts and private gifts given with a civic and public interest. He makes his way. He indicates he has funding for another 6 months, but it's a not-for-profit, so he doesn't go out and sell advertising when he's making his rounds as journalist and reporter. And he covers all kinds of ground. He is a kind of a muckraker, if you will, a muckraker. Just quickly, since we've been mentioning crony capitalism and commercial government, there is detail in the current comprehensive annual financial report, and pointing out where EPB stands. EPB is a telecom provider. It is government business competing against corporations that have to turn a profit. And in the CAFR, that has a kind of general, kind of glowing summary of its contributions to the local economy, quoting The Nation magazine, for example, and a so-called liberal magazine. BBC also covered this organization, hailing its 10 gigabit connection, which hardly anybody needs a 10 gigabit connection, and it's important to notice that this is great for marketing, but it really is insignificant. It is a real value. It doesn't contribute a value to hardly any of the subscribers. If you, my listener, just a regular businessman, that kind of power is absolutely pointless. It's like having a 245 mile an hour Maserati, but you're constrained by the speed bumps and the traffic signs here in Chattanooga telling you to go 25, or on some exciting stretches of road 45 miles an hour, or even 50 if you're along Amnicola. What good is it to have a Maserati with a 300 horsepower or 400 horsepower engine if you are constrained by your circumstances, which would be in business, you don't need that kind of power, and yet you pay for it, and taxpayers and EPB have made this possible for you. Again, it's called excess capacity, the digital bridge to nowhere. Well, this is David Tulis, and it is of interest and note to us today that the dissenter in chief is rising to his high office, and we ask ourselves what are the prospects for intervening government, to say local government, local authority, those positions of office, say those being fought over now on the campaign trail here in Chattanooga, the office of mayor. These are mayors serve as intervening bodies, as do governors, as do county clerks. Bill Knowles, the intervening governor who refused to stand for marriage and caved in against the constitutional oath he took, allowing gay marriage. His office is that of an intervening body, which is designed in the way God ordains things. Intervening bodies of honor and nobility and law defend the people from harassment and evil, from dictates from higher authorities that have gone, let's say, off the rails. What is the prospect for intervening bodies under Donald Trump? It's hard to say, but I raise the question because I want you, my listener, on the David Tulis program to think about it. Today, these questions are perhaps a little bit out of view. There are nearly 1 million people expected in Washington for the inauguration, which we will carry live here on this radio station. Keep your dial here, and if you have to duck away for a few minutes, make sure that you come back, even if it's after my program, and tune in. We are a great platform. Noogaradio.com is our website. If you go there, we'll immediately play what's on, right? Whether it's me or others, and we'll be carrying live coverage of the Trump inauguration starting at 12 today. And we're also on Facebook at Nooga Radio and on YouTube. You can determine whether my bow tie passes muster. I am the bow tie, the slow man of Chattanooga. I ask the awkward questions, and I'm not easily intimidated by the high and the mighty, our great ones. Though I would like to meet them. I'd like to interview them, and making provision even now to have Fred Fletcher on the air to talk about the necessity of police reform that the candidates have neglected. And if we believe the reports from the press, there's a story by Chloe Morrison this morning at Nooga.com indicating the status quo. If the mayor is reelected, the status quo in policing will be unchanged, and that is because Andy Burke, the Democrat lawyer, has received an important endorsement from the FOP, the FOPS, Fraternal Order of Police union, that has 500 local law enforcement officers as dues-paying members of the lodge. It is a lodge, something like the Masonic Lodge, but with different symbols and different commitments. Burke says he's honored by the endorsement. Making our city safer starts with supporting the men and women who selflessly put their lives on the line each day to protect us. That is simply a bit of political jargon typical of Andy Burke. Mayor Burke is more supportive of police than any mayor in recent memory. President Sergeant Sean O'Brien, Fraternal Order of Police Lodge, says he has repeatedly shown enthusiasm to work with our leadership and listen to our members. He has worked to fix our pay scale and invested in the tools we need to better protect the citizens of Chattanooga. We proudly endorse Andy Burke, mayor, for re-election. That endorsement should tell you that reform from him is not in the offing, not at all. Even though we had on Tuesday, the day in which county deputies shot down a man who had run for them for a couple hours. Even though that happened on that day, another police organization representing 11 other lobbies, including Kalea, called for de-escalation reforms that touch on 4 points. De-escalation, the use of time, distance, and cover to eliminate the prospect of police killing people who are maybe offending them but have done nothing worthy of the death sentence, which is summarily awarded to them by high firepower. And the death was of a young man, 29 years old, I think, Chris Sexton. What do we have to hope for in the in the coming administration of Donald Trump, the decentralization is not really in view, though he wants there to be sharp cuts. If we believe the Hills report, there is a skinny budget that's already in the works from a couple of Heritage Foundation writers, Russ Vaught, a former aide of Mike Pence, and another man, John Gray, who had worked for Pence, and also for Senator Rand Paul and Paul Ryan when Ryan headed the House budget. And that's John Gray. These are two men who are helping to propose a skinny budget that would cut $10 trillion in spending in the next 10 years. There's a certainty that Medicare and Social Security will not be cut by Donald Trump. These are the main drags upon the future. But there are cuts proposed in many other departments, the Department of Justice, the Department of Energy, that would roll back funding for nuclear physics and advanced scientific computing research to 2008 levels, and eliminate the Office of Electricity, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, and it would scrap the Office of Fossil Energy, which focuses on technology to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. The State Department would lose also some wings. There's a multi-winged monster, if you will. The Overseas Private Investment Corporation, subsidies, charity for corporations, the Paris Climate Change Agreement, and the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change are candidates for admission under the coming Trump administration. This is David Tulis, and we're going to talk about the religion of inaugurations. The religion of inaugurations.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson. Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future.
And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice to professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing, mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
Is your career careening, maybe sagging, wheezing? Let me suggest a job with huge income potential. Dealing with people. Call Steve or Jada for a confidential interview. 855-8484. 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you make all year.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. One of the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office's top 12 most wanted is now in custody. Troy Lee McCauley was wanted for many charges, including criminal exposure to HIV, solicitation of a minor, and domestic assault. Numerous tips from the community led to the arrest of Mr. McCauley. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office wanted to extend its appreciation to the citizens of Hamilton County for helping in his arrest. There were several robberies in East Ridge and Chattanooga in the last few days. One of the most significant cases was a case which the police believe involves Ebony Faye Cousin, who they say approached a Dollar General clerk in East Ridge on Ringgold Road with a pink handgun, demanding the contents of the cash register. She then sped off in a car, a dark blue or black sedan. East Ridge police were then informed that the CPD had actually arrested several suspects for several robberies, and Ms. Cousin was one of them. She was picked out of a lineup by the Dollar General clerk. And the Hamilton County School Board will not be funding a proposed track at Central High School. This decision was made on Thursday.
Expect cloudy skies with scattered showers out there for your Thursday. Highs back into the lower 60s. Tonight, rain and thunderstorms will march through, diminishing late, lows near 55. For Friday, a drier day, warm highs of around 70 with more unsettled weather returning for the weekend. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
I know. You always say, David, it's too complicated, it's too long. What's the nutshell argument? What's the short picture? The short version of what you're trying to say. Are you optimistic about Trump? Are you pessimistic about Trump? Why always so nuanced? Well, this is David Tulis, and it's nuanced because things are complex. Things are not super simple. And sometimes a headline won't cover what needs to be thought or what needs to be said. And so you want a short version? Okay, let me give you a short version. Am I optimistic? Am I excited? Am I thrilled that Mrs. Clinton lost? Yes, I'm very thrilled that Mrs. Clinton lost. And I'm reservedly optimistic about Donald Trump. I'm glad to see that he has vigorous perspective, that he is not for the establishment, that he's hated by the neoconservative, neoliberal, pro-war, pro-adventuresomeness, pro-intervention left wing. It's not really just the left wing, but it's the progressive wing of the deep state. The people who wanted, the financial people who wanted to get behind, who were behind Mrs. Clinton. They sided with her because they want to continue the status quo. And the conservative part of the deep state is the military. These are the people whose members lose their lives in foreign fields. They don't want the things to continue as they have been, and so they backed Trump. And of course, you backed Trump. You, the voter, you've had enough of the way things are. Am I looking forward to the news? Yes, I'm in the news business. I'm a writer, and a journalist, there's much to cover. Trump is great for the news business. He's great for the radio business. He is exciting because he's fresh, he speaks his mind, and he jolts people. He's constantly jolting our colleagues in the media business, constantly surprising them, showing them to be the little people that whom they really are. So I am glad that he's taking office. I'm excited for you. And of course, I'm the leading Nooga-centrist in Chattanooga. Despite what Dave Crockett says, he says he's the number. He pushes me aside and he says, "No, you're not number one. You're number two. I'm the leading Nooga-centrist," he said to me in an interview that which you'll read about soon. And so here I am, your man in Chattanooga, your thinking friend, and I do thank you for giving me just a couple minutes of your time. So I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to good things to happen, though my reservations are many. Not about Donald Trump, the man. I think he's going to do a lot of good things, and especially in the way of cutting and pulling back the presumptive areas of activity by the national government, which are extra constitutional, almost to an agency. They're almost all lawless and unconstitutional. And he doesn't quite view it that way, because for him, I think the Constitution is something he has to worry about only if someone brings it up, right? Otherwise, national government just flows out, flows on, continuing to expand and to improve its line of service to the American people. And so he has certain things he's looking at, and he will cut, he will slash, he will burn in God's good providence, saving the taxpayer. But is it enough to save the country? No. He can't. He's not really a reformer, though he is exasperated, as you are, about the way things have gone, where government is, the federal power is in everything, and that intervening bodies really have been denied their authority. And I would say they've been denied their authority to act probably because they've yielded that authority. They can always claim it back. You know, Governor Haslam can claim it back. If he were a man of principle, he could have said, well, the Constitution forbids anything but men and women to marry, and I don't care what Obergefell versus Hodges says, that's not happening here. He could have done that, but no, he didn't. So Republicans are not people of principle, and I think even our local senators and representatives are often, well, in some respects, they do seem honorable, and men and women of principle, it only goes so far, right? It only goes so far. And when the issue is highlighted and terrible, they flinch. I think they all flinch, and I think very few of them realize the nature of the continuing war against the people by the state, even the state of Tennessee, despite the pacific coverage that its dealings get in the paper, in the Chattanooga Times Free Press and by the Associated Press and the establishment media. Its evils against the people are generally overlooked, and we just assume that that's just the way it is. And so these are not evils that have to be covered as news. They're not evils at all. It's just the way things are, right? The judicial system, the educational system, the transportation system, the investment system. These are all the gambling system. All these forms of strip mining the people, skimming the people, are just the way things are. And so there's no news there, right? There's simply no news there at all. And yet I think these are things that are things that grieve God. They grieve God that the unborn are slain in Tennessee, that we don't have lawful coin and currency, that we have government investing in corporations, that we have a rejection of the Constitution, that we have an oppression on the right to bear arms, that we have laws on the books that were written against people whom at the time were called Negroes, right? From way back, oppressions of the right of self-defense. These are all things that Republicans and Democrats alike agree are just the way things are. There's no news here. What are you talking about? They would ask me if I had a chance to quiz them on the nature of things. But I'd say I'm generally confident about the future, even though we have a national disaster ahead. The national disaster is going to be financial. There is a day of reckoning. A great fire will ignite to burn away the deadwood of malinvestment. That phrase, by the way, is one that you'll often encounter in free market literature of the Austrian School of Economics, the Christian Reconstructionist School of applying the Bible to all spheres of life. They only make this discussion. And you won't find it anywhere else really, but in the Reformed camp of Christendom and in the free market works of writers such as Lou Rockwell, Gary North, many others who are libertarian, sharing and borrowing concepts and you might say laws from Christianity. This is David Tulis, and caller, you are live on the air. Are you calling to talk to my other listener?
Hey, Dave, great talk on the Trump presidency, but let's not miss a big point here. One man can't change it. We've been under attack since Lincoln. And yes, the Republicans aren't that good, but the Democrats, having them in power to do anything is unthinkable.
Yes.
They're not mentally stable. At least the Republicans you can convince, they're on the right track. But the Democrats have in their platform it's okay to murder an unborn child. That shows you they're mentally unstable. How about on the Bush issue? I do not believe he is part of the new world government that's been pushed since the 1960s. And these people don't think of America as being first or care about America being first. I do. I care about borders because I can control what's in my borders. I don't care about Canada, Mexico, or any other country. So in that, he's a nationalist. And if we don't care about America and America's jobs and Americans, we're done as a nation. And I believe in nation states. I believe in having the sovereignty of your property individually and the nation state. That's my belief. And in that, he's going to enforce the nation state. Remember, he has the New World Order against him, which are the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, and the multi-billionaires. I believe he's sort of a sleeper cell because he has no political experience. No one in his cabinet, I believe, has any political experience. They're outsiders. They're very successful. And I think if they don't get him, there is going to be a major change. But remember, he can't do it alone. If you're against the New World Order, and what that means is not caring about American sovereignty, wanting to send jobs overseas to China, letting anyone who comes in come in, taking advantage of our resources, basically being attacked by foreign nations. One who believes in that should be a Democrat, a liberal, and a socialist, and a New World Order person. But it does not appear that he's that way, even though he will trade with the rest of the world. Let me tell you this, David. You want peace and prosperity, you don't need bombs. You know what you need? Economics. Because
you need a free market.
Rely on each other economically, they won't war. People that depend on each other economically don't war.
This is David Tulis, and we've been talking with Mike, who believes in the nation state and says Trump is defiant. Trump is defiant of the New World Order. And in a way, Trump is an intervening body. And you might ask me what I mean by that. Intervening bodies are those that allow for freedom. If you have a multiplicity of political bodies, of legal bodies, of social bodies, you have protection of the individual and of the family. If you have only the nation state and the family and the individual and no intervening, I should say, or betweener bodies, then you have an absolute 1984 George Orwell type tyranny. And of course, that's what has been created by the New World Order domestically. We have direct taxation, or so they say. We have direct total surveillance and the like. Intervening bodies are part of a decentralized political order. Mayors, in that sense, a Mayor Crockett or a Mayor Groen would be in an intervening body for us. The idea of nationalism is promoted today. We are today marking the inauguration of Donald Trump, and we are going to have live coverage of it starting at noon here on the David Tulis radio station. And intervening bodies were on their way out even before World War I. Teddy Roosevelt was one. He was for the new nationalism, and he gave a speech that in which he said in 1910 that the ideas of the framers were no longer operative. He said the new nationalism puts the national need before sectional or personal advantage. This is Teddy Roosevelt here. He said it is impatient of the utter confusion that results from local legislatures attempting to treat national issues as local issues. It is still more impatient of the impotence which springs from over-division of national powers. And he was in a long line of American politicians to be disappointed at local institutions that would be from counties to states. But in a way, Trump is an intervening body because he is against the superior overweening bodies of the deep state. That is to say that half of the deep state, which is neoconservative and neoliberal and progressive, which wants the continuation of the status quo, heavily borrowing from the future in this elastic currency of the Federal Reserve dollar. My name is David Tulis, and the idea is that these Democrats and Republicans espouse come from Thomas Hobbes, probably even before him. And Hobbes wanted the Central Committee to control everything. That there would be the great ones to decide things, and we have that today, and we have the Supreme Court declaring what marriage is as if it were a law, and yet it is merely an opinion. The inauguration today puts in mind and gives us feelings of connection. It is about national unity, of course. It is about the transition of power. But it's also a kind of propaganda. It kind of mimics live. Okay, I'm getting a note here from our news director. Live Trump coverage is beginning at 11:45 right here. Keep it right here on this point on your dial. The inauguration it borrows in a lot of ways from monarchies. The accession of a king to his throne. There are all the rituals. You have all the important people. You have opulent surroundings. You have grand balls. You have fine dinners. And Trump and his administration are presented as superhuman. Right? They're above the common herd, which is where we are. You have all these cabinet agencies, all these supervisors of executive agencies, which execute the will of the Congress and the administrative bodies that themselves through their EPAs, right, through their FAAs and the like. They are these rituals are intended to unify the country, everybody in the country, emotionally, maybe even spiritually. And to that point, I would suggest that there is a spiritual side to this. But first, I have a quick word from Russell, our news director. What's on tap?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that at 11:45, we're going to begin our coverage of the inauguration because the swearing in actually begins roughly 11:45, not 12 like we were hearing. So we're waiting for the swearing in to happen. They've already gone to the church service at the, I believe it's an Anglican church.
St. John's.
St. John's, yes. They had a First Baptist preacher there who's a very big, avid Donald Trump fan. They just finished up with that worship service, and now they're heading towards the National Mall for the swearing in, which is going to begin hopefully at 11:45, and we'll be giving you coverage of that at 11:45 today. So
keep it right here. This is David Tulis, and we're glad you're tuning in to our multimedia platform. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and I'm the mild-mannered editor with the bow tie and the sensible shoes. And you were hearing a moment ago from Russell the coverage of the live Donald Trump inauguration coverage starting in just about an hour, in 45 minutes at 11:45. There is something that the nation state has obtained over the years, and we are in its decline. We are in the era of its decline, though we have events such as today which make us forget that the decline began by one historical account in 1945. But we are facing a national crisis just ahead, a crisis in confidence that will turn the idea of debt to the greatest bitterness, just as people who survived the Depression in the 1930s refused to go into debt. They hated debt, and an experience like that is ahead. It is, had we had a foretaste of it in 2009 and 10. There is a kind of myth that we are living out today, and it is you're right to enjoy it and to take part in it, especially if you are a supporter of Trump. I know you may be uneasy about the future. I know that there are polls in the establishment press that suggest that he is the least popular president to take office in some but he is taking part in what is rightly a religious event. It is religious, and the deity is the nation state itself. The state, the body to which we have attributed infallibility and impeccability. It is impeccable, and it is infallible. Though there may be agents, there may be departments, there may be generals who have done wrong. We're willing to overlook these problems. As for the moment anyway, we admit that our nation can't make a mistake. It can't be wrong. It is always right, even though it may be one of the most hated countries in history, with its bombings, its inflations, its creation of terrorism by its foreign invasions, its constant stoking of internal affairs of other countries by hook and crook, mostly by the latter, by CIA interventionism. We think today, with the arrival of the president, that it can't be wrong. It really can't be wrong. It can't not be right. It is American. We are the United States. We are a great people. And so when the man we've elected takes office, we fill our hearts with this sentiment. It is a sentiment. And it is, I'd like to suggest, it is a kind of worship of which we should be careful. We should be careful about our emotions as we watch and listen and take part, at least in sentiment, with the day's excitement. Carlton Hayes, in a very noted essay called "Nationalism as Religion," says this at the end. He says, "Nationalism as a religion inculcates neither charity nor justice. It is proud, not humble, and it signally fails to universalize human aims. It repudiates the revolutionary message of St. Paul and proclaims anew the primitive doctrine that there shall be Jew and Greek, that only now there shall be Jew and Greek more quintessentially than ever." In other words, nationalism and the idea of the nation state divides people. It doesn't unite people as Christianity does, as we could say religion does. It divides them. Nationalism's kingdom is frankly of this world, and its attainment involves tribal selfishness and vainglory, a particularly ignorant and tyrannical intolerance, and war. Nationalism brings not peace, but the sword. And that is always what it's about. When we cohere around the nation state, we cohere around that entity which has in its health the idea of armed conflict. And war has been transformed. War is, in fact, different from what it used to be in 1945. The last major war, the last war of the old order, was World War II, as Martin Van Creveld says in his book I've just finished reading called The Transformation of War, a noted book, and I'm 20 years late in getting to it. But I am convinced that the form of war has changed, and so has the nation state. It is in decline. What do we have left? Well, we have, I think, not isolationism. No, we have rather the marketplace. We have Christianity. We have community. And we have what I like to describe as local economy and the free market. We have it here. There are national problems. And insofar as they poison our relations and poison our prospects here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, they can't be solved outside of Washington. Chuck Fleischman can't solve them. Donald Trump can't solve them. They have to be solved locally. And that would be through the operation of grace, the operation of trading, buying and selling, caring about our neighbors, charity, worship of God, who is indeed the creator, and to whom Solomon prayed as he made his famous prayer in the book of Kings. This is David Tulis. Now I've got some important messages.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Cash, and more cash.